How about the thing we went to last night? We went to a festival, the Newtown Festival, when the test ended, and found ourselves dancing on, what would you call it?
I'd say it was a West African funk band.
I wouldn't say we were dancing on the, not quite the stage,
on the benches.
On the benches with
it was basically a cafe. They just sort of jammed a band into the second room of this cafe, and then they had a garden out the back. And my God, that music was like a constant wave. They did not dip in intensity for about an hour and a half. It just kept going and kept going.
I might post a video to our channels and say that's what we've been up to. cbussuper.com.au. You can get up to something with them. Get with them. Their past performance, splendid as it is not a reliable indicator of future performance. Ireland's past performance in Test cricket.
Less Darth Vader, more Kim Garth Vader.
Their performances in Test cricket to this point haven't been too crash hot. Whisper it.
Haven't been a reliable indicator.
But goodness me, how well they played against Afghanistan at Tolerance Oval, the first time a Test match has been played there. Can we say what was doing now? Yeah, fuck it, we can. The president of the UAE asked to have access to Sheikh Zayed, which is why they got punted next door the day before the Test match. At least that's what somebody told me.
They got moved a day. It
was 2 days before. Brat and I spoke about it on the show last week. So at that point, it wasn't entirely
like it was
clear.
Tolerance Oval, so that they were tolerant about
they
that.
Well, I think everyone was of the view that, well, if this is what is happening, this is what we are doing, and they played their little socks off. They bowled first. Afghanistan all out 155, but that's a bit deceptive because Ibi Zadran, who made the 100 only a couple of weeks ago, was flying. And then there's this moment where Craig Young gets him strangled down the leg side, and then on debut, big bad Barry McCarthy gets Hashmatullah, another absolute gun, also caught down the leg side. The entire momentum of the session changes, and they have a collapse, and Mark Adair, Sparky, we've had him on the show in the past as well, Lords last year, final word fave, knocks the top off, goes through the top order, or the rest of the top order, 5 for 39, and then in comes Curtis Campher. He cleaned up the tail with a few wickets there at the end. So 155 all out, Afghanistan are behind the game, and Ireland get their chance.
Right, so they made 263, Ireland. Andy Balbirnie, former skipper, out early, but Curtis Campher gets 49 batting first drop. Interesting that he's had that elevation after being a sort of middle order seam bowling all rounder.
I think he batted 7 at Lords last year, so it's quite a vote of faith in him as a top order player, especially when he's a bowler too.
And it was a real kind of chip-in effort. Paul Sterling made 52, Tucker made 46, Andy McBride 38, Harry Tector 32, lead of 97. Seems like it probably should be enough given they got Afghanistan so cheaply.
Well, Afghanistan from there probably need to make 312. Instead, they make 212. Hashmatullah, leg before wicket. It's a similar theme to the first innings in that,
start well.
There is a world where Afghanistan go on with it, but Hashmatullah out leg before wicket to Adair. That's the big wicket. It was umpire's call on DRS, and it was just touching the bail, but that was enough, as we know. Young then bowls Ramanullah Gurbaz off stump out of the ground. He'd taken a wicket with his last ball of the first innings, so he was on a hat-trick. Didn't get it, but did get 3 for 24 bowling third change. So he opened the bowling in the first dig, bowled third change in the second. Adair,
it's very 1800s, that sort of gear.
Adair and McCarthy picked up 3 each as well, so 3 of them get 3 wickets, and as you say, they all chipped in the first innings. And then they've got the chase, and this is where it gets. I was following this closely at the time, not sure if you were as well. 111 to win, and it doesn't start well.
No, and it feels like that South Africa-Australia thing. You're like, there's the classic, tricky small target, and all the rest of it.
Naveen Zadran bowling more. And then next ball bowling Curtis Campher, first baller on a hat-trick himself. Then Tector is out when the score's 13, 3 for 13, and you're thinking he feathers one, just touches it. On DRS it's like the smallest spike, but Tector has to go. In walks Lorcan Tucker. We're playing at Lorcan Tucker's club. His dad's hosting us, and by us I mean the Oval Dream Boys, on our trip to Ireland in April, which includes quite a few final word people. But so Lorcan walks in. He was the wicketkeeper of the year according to the ICC Guardian. It was
he was on the Guardian one. Maybe the Western Cricket Monthly one as well.
I mean, I didn't vote for him as Keeper of the Year, but
to be honest, nor did I.
But I understand why he was recognised as the Keeper of the Year. But boy, oh boy, has he played his role here, coming in with them on the cusp of collapsing and blowing this extraordinary opportunity to bank a Test win with Balbo. We've had him on the show a year ago when Balbo was with us. Hasn't been a great 12 months. They didn't qualify for the World Cup last year. They didn't have. They had a chance for automatic qualification and blew that. Did poorly in the qualification tournament, have had ups. He lost the captaincy of the white ball team, still leading them in.
Gave it away, really.
Gave it away, lost it, 6 and 1/2
felt
dozen
that he
in the
couldn't
other.
continue.
And 58 not out, there at the end. The captain, precious runs. Tucker hits the winning runs, 27 not out. And Balbo here, we've created results, we've created history. The monkeys off the back.
And they've done it. They've done it much faster than most. So Australia won their first Test match in 1877. England and Pakistan and Afghanistan each won their second Test match. West Indies their sixth. Ireland their eighth. So they won a Test match faster than Zimbabwe, South Africa, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, or New Zealand. New Zealand took 45 tests to get a win. So they've done a lot better than some recent inclusions in Test cricket in the past.
I think it's a really important reference point, that. You hear people say, well, why are these people playing Test cricket? Why are these, newcomers?
Lesser.
Lesser. Well, India taking 25 matches to win a Test match. That should be a reminder. New Zealand, 45 matches. But India stands out most of all, isn't it? Because they are now the dominant force in world cricket. They certainly didn't feel like it in their early decades of Test participation. So I like that the Martin Steddon report that we discussed on the weekly show last week, hoping to get Martin on while we're in Christchurch. That's the plan anyway. Former chair of New Zealand cricket, but a thoughtful guy. Has the same values as we have, I would say. Having talked to him the other day, he really wants to see Test cricket have a chance of succeeding. He's all about 2 divisions in the WTC, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I would rather one, but 2 divisions where it's split into 2 of 6. Give me that, where every Test that Ireland play has context, where there's a minimum number of Test matches they'll get to play. Likewise, Afghanistan and other nations without quite so much money. Give us some organising principle with that group of teams, and maybe a little bit of
other nations can't afford to take it lightly, and they also can't decline to play.
Exactly. It's like when the World Cup Super League was in operation with 13 teams. We saw teams with less money that just had to find a way to make it work. Well, it would be Division 2. And yes, winning Division 2 of the WTC, what would it mean? Well, I don't care what it means. If there's promotion and relegation, there's lots of Division 2s around the world. It doesn't mean that, does Division 2 of the County Championship mean any less? Does Division 2 of English football, the Championship, it's still your competition.
If your football team's winning Division 7, then they're still happy about it.
It still means something. You don't just have to win the Premier League. It's probably a bit of a clunky analogy, but you know what I'm trying to say. So, I like the talk of that, and as I say, hopefully we'll get a chance to do more ICC stuff while we're in New Zealand.
Yep, Markadere man of the match for his 8 wickets.
Go on.
Congratulations. Right, England going to Dharamsala, where I hear it's been 2 degrees in the mountains. That'll be fun.
I saw Cam Vish put up a little Instagram story, and it's snowing at the moment, or it was snowing overnight when they arrived at the top of the mountain. Snow is forecast for the first. I had a look on the radar before, or on the app. It's forecast for the first day of the Test match.
Never seen a snow delay before.
I've seen it. I've been at a snowy game at the Oval that Bucky played in, actually. He was captaining Somerset in April 2016, and it happens from time to time in the north of England. But you don't really think of a Test being delayed for snow in India when
they
heats
should have played it in San Moritz, the ice cricket fields.
So that the weather, the forecast top is low teens the whole way through the week. The reason why we're having Test cricket
it's also like the audience for My Chemical Romance.
Yes,
low teens.
Very good. The reason there's Test cricket up there is it's the vice president of the BCCI from that state association, if I recall correctly. I'm not against them playing cricket in Dharamsala, by the way. It's a stunning place, but not this time of year, right? Just not in early March. Just do it a different time.
The World Cup there was absolutely farcical. That bloke's face was on a poster on like every electricity pole, every lamp post. There were literally thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures of him just covering the entire city.
Kind of a big deal?
Well, in his own lunchbox, sure. And then as he walked into the ground, there was a huge painted mural of him on the side of the grandstand. Like... It's the only joint that fetishizes administrators that much, but I just do not understand how you wouldn't just be completely embarrassed, like humiliated beyond all understanding to have that. To walk out in the morning and be like, here we are, my city, covered with my photograph. This is how I like things to be. I feel good about this.
Are you saying we're not going to build that sculpture of James Sutherland out the front of MCG?
We're not going to paint the
that was on
6-story mural we're not going to cover the Jollymont building with Sutherland's face like Sam Newman's house. He used to have Pamela Anderson on the front of it. We're not
or Molly Meldrum with the Egyptian iconography as well. No,
it's
we'll hold
it's
off on that.
Anurag Thakur, isn't it? The fellow who does that. I remember the name because I read it hundreds of thousands of times. But yeah, it is the most cringe thing like imaginable to have like a 8-metre high painted mural of you beneficently welcoming everybody to your stadium. I'm like, the cricket's about the players who play. That's it. Like, we don't give a fuck who's in the boardroom, really, if you're making the right decisions.
One of them who is going to play at Dharamsala is Rajat Patidar. We thought he'd played his last test match last week.
Yeah.
Sadly, given how hard he had to work to get it. But KL Rahul's not fit.
Yeah.
And Patidar's in the squad, so by deduction, Patidar is playing.
And I like that Kartik Krishnaswamy did a good stats analysis about how Patidar had basically the highest control percentage and the lowest false shot percentage of anybody who'd played in the test that he'd played in, and had still managed to get out to, like, the rare times he'd played a false shot, he'd got out to it. Yeah. So he just basically had an incredibly bad run of luck.
I mean, he got out to 2 genuine long hops last week. Just looks worse, doesn't it? When you get out to a poor delivery, it just increases the focus on you.
Obviously, you can't play because you got out to a bad ball.
The other side of it, the off-field, because they've had the gap between test matches, it provides time to start zooming out and talking about other things, and they're thinking about the season ahead. Now the series is lost and we're on the cusp of the England season starting. It'll be the 5th of April, the first game, I'm pretty sure. And Brendan McCullum did a press conference where he was quite, and Vish and Cam spoke about this last week on our channel, he was quite forthright about wanting to see both Shah Bashir and Tom Hartley play a lot of county cricket this year. But it's kind of tricky, right? Because
he's got no control over it.
Well, not only that, but there's competing interest. Lancashire often don't play a spinner. I mean, when Matt Parkinson was there, it was often the case early in the season they'd play 4 quicks, and Parkinson, who was number 2 for England then, kind of, sort of, he was often in England squads, wasn't getting a game.
Yep.
Now, Tom Hartley, in theory, is the number 1 spinner at Lancs these days, no worries. But guess who else is there this year? Nathan Gary Lyon. And I'm pretty sure Nathan Lyon's going to play every single week. He's eligible for the entire season. So there's the thing going on at Manchester. As for what's going on at Somerset, it's not that Hyderabad cliche anymore that it was for a time there.
They also kept getting punished for having pitches that turned.
Yeah, they did. Well, one of them was... anyway. Yes, they had one rather dramatic, rather farcical situation when Middlesex got relegated. But generally speaking, they have had the flexibility to play. Initially, it was Leach and Best, wasn't it? But if they're only going to play 1 spinner there, if that's the way it plays out, and their head coach, who spoke in response to this, Jason Kerr, said as much in early April, no team's really going to be playing 2 spinners. Jack Leach is the spinner in possession, provided he recovers from his injury, which would leave Bashir, who's been super impressive, out of the 11. And thus, they're now talking about a willingness to loan him out. So that's a clever solution. The loan system in England is super loose. I can play for one club one day, another club the next day.
Like Billy Midwinter. You can play for Australia one week and England the next you get kidnapped.
That's it. So Matt Parkinson last year had a journey like that where he played for a couple of counties on loan and moving to a third one. The same thing happened to Nick Gubbins a couple of years ago, Sam Northeast, where you can kind of move around in the middle of a season.
Is there all that bullshit like with football stuff where you can't celebrate a wicket against your old club?
You don't play against your old club. That's the fix there. Right. But yeah, anyway, the point remains that
you've got to not celebrate so the guys on Twitter can go class.
Yeah, proper
applause emoji.
So one to watch there. They did loan out Bess when he was at Somerset out to Yorkshire. He ended up going to Yorkshire. He's been around the country a little bit now, so we will see. But the point stands that there are competing interests. So Brendan McCullum, I respect his position. He does want to see these 2 young spinners play a lot of first-class cricket, but he has no control over the clubs because the clubs have got their own interest, and that's been the same forever, right? Club and country's interests don't always align. But anyway, that's been the chat between test matches, and that begins on Thursday in the snow at Dharamsala. It's a dead rubber to an extent, but it's still a test match in India. There'll be a lot of interest in it. James Anderson is on the cusp of 700 test wickets. Cam will be making those daily programs when the tests start with Daniel. I'll do the preview with him on Wednesday, I suppose.
Yeah, there'll be the test match Ice Bucket Challenge up in Dharamsala. The WPL is halfway through, punctuated by Elisa Healy wiping out a streaker, a fully clothed streaker, I should say, but a pitch invader who ran on. And sadly, I haven't been able to find any actual video of it, but the stills are pretty good. So joining the ranks of Andrew Simons, Sam Kerr, Terry Alderman, not so successfully Terry Alderman. tackling pitch invaders and wiping them out. I wouldn't want to annoy Elisa Healy. She's pretty fiery.
Nathan Lyon had no interest in taking out the pitch invader that we had the other day. He let him run about and do his own thing. Yep. So 10 group games left.
Fine. I don't think they need... The second, after the guy fell over and the first security guard tackles him, the second one just kind of runs in and jumps on his head, and I'm pretty sure gave him a knuckle or two as well. Fairly unnecessary. Like, someone's running around naked on the ground. It's annoying, but you don't need to beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, you do need to provide a disincentive, but beating them up is probably not that.
The disincentive is that they get detained and thrown out of the game and potentially charged with whatever they get charged with. But
fines aren't big enough here. Someone said to me that the problem is they throw the hat around because the fines aren't big enough.
Yeah, if the fine's like $500 and you got 10 mates there, well,
Hobart used to be about $500, whereas Perth used to be about $7,000 before it gets indexed and so on. So. I don't know whether...
MCG, $12,892.42.
Yeah. We're 10 games left in the group stage WPL. Not watched a lot of it, I must say, but I know that Delhi and Mumbai are on 6 points apiece. Upper UP Warriors and...
Uttar Pradesh.
Uttar Pradesh, that's right. And RCB are on 4, and Gujarat are yet to get off the mark. So, a few of the performances that were noteworthy this week. Delhi smashed up the Warriors thanks to a forfer from Rowdy Yadav, who's been a bit of a forgotten bowler for India in recent years. He's a quality operator, but has been overtaken a bit of late. Lanning and Shafali Verma made runs in
She had the wicket-taking streak for so long, didn't she, in T20 International?
That sounds about right to me.
She'd been like 20-plus matches without a nunfer.
There was a mismatch between the RCB and Gujarat where RCB were held to 107 for 7. Molyneux took a 3 for. Renuka Singh 2 for 14 from 4. She's class. Sabia Meghana, who made runs last week, 36 not out, batting with Mandana in that chase. They knocked it off in 12.3 overs to defeat the Gujarat Titans, I think they're called.
Are they Titans? I don't know. Maybe there's something else.
Called that in the men's comp. I'm not sure if they have a nickname in the women's comp.
I
don't pay a lot of attention.
We don't pay a lot of attention to franchise cricket in the 20-over format. Yeah, I would be lucky if you asked me to name the Bangladesh Premier League teams. Not getting very far. Camilla Victorians, that's all I know.
The Warriors bounced back against Mumbai. Mumbai won their first couple of games, but Hayley Matthews made a half-century for them, but the UP Warriors got it 3 down. Delhi made the highest score of the tournament so far, 194 for 5, with Verma making a quick half-century, Alice Capsey making 46. You might want to hit that phone there, Jeff. Some other stuff happened in that game. I've lost my place in my notes, but that's perfectly okay. Millie Kerr made 40 not out from 24 balls. I was talking to a couple of people in her world this week about like her year now. Like, so much of her year is dictated by the domestic tournaments, and obviously she's New Zealand's most important player, but in addition to that, she's got these other interests around the world, and the WPL is certainly that. And yes, Delhi again last night, they won with Meg Lanning making a half-century, and they made enough runs to oversee. They made too many runs for the Gujarat Giants to come anywhere close to them. I've got Giants, Titans. Who knows what's going on in my notes?
Yeah. Just big. Everyone's big. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Jess Jonathan took 3 for. Rowdy Yadav, who we mentioned at the start, took 3 for as well. Spin to win. 10
Titans
group games
everywhere.
left.
Not a lot of Olympians except at the Olympics. That's the classic battle of Greek mythology: is the Olympians overthrowing the Titans.
I think the most interesting part of this week's cricket in women's cricket in India, by the way, is that they're going to have a domestic red ball tournament. So
this is more what we're
this is more our thing, right? We can talk with more authority on this. So the green gold game, the Aussie domestic 3-day game, the select game, if you like, is taking place. It starts on Tuesday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in India.
Are they wearing whites, or are they going to do like an Australia A kind of kit? Because if you've got a green team and a gold team, surely you should go a green kit and a gold kit.
No, I think if it's red ball, you'd be wearing whites for all the usual reasons. I don't think you'd want to mess with that.
Your teams are literally named after colours, and you're wearing whites.
Caps. That's enough.
Yeah.
They might give them different uniforms to wear, different jumpers or something like that.
To have a green cap that doesn't look too much like the national.
No, they do. The Caxi caps are baggy green.
Yeah.
So give them
a different badge, and
give them a gold. The old one-day international caps, get them going. They should have them in one-day cricket, regardless.
The final word, baggy golds.
Yeah, there you go. We can lend them.
Whip around.
We can lend them. We can lend them the gold caps if they want. But yeah, there's going to be an interzonal tournament.
Gold caps are also a certain variety of mushroom that has interesting effects on those who ingest them. That grow in pine forests mostly.
Okay.
You've got to make sure you pick the right ones, but interesting time.
I'm glad you're across this.
Yep.
So this interzonal tournament is between the end of March into April in Pune, And just another little price signal, right? If India are dedicating time for women to play multi-day red ball cricket, Australia are doing it slightly differently now. I can easily imagine a world where England now follows suit and have some version of this where they consolidate their teams from 8 to 4 or something for some red ball.
You don't want to be left behind. The others are doing it.
And so it will continue. Speaking of red ball, Jeff, I think it's time that we take another break.
Yes.
And when we return from that...
then we shield.
We'll shield. Well, it'll be the Mr. Sheffield Shield.